Our discussion focuses on architecture's necessary paradigm shift from product design to public interest design, or PID. My thesis addresses the evolving core ethical challenge facing architecture, shifting from serving the affluent to prioritizing community well-being. This requires moving away from the traditional model of architecture as a fixed product or static aesthetic object toward recognizing it as a dynamic, evolving social structure. Our argument rests on a simple premise. Access to design is not just a privilege, it is a public right. My thesis posits that we must engage in co-creation and shared agency, or shared power of design, from which true creation can result. The traditional model treats structures as mere static aesthetic objects, reinforcing the power of capital. The contrast is stark. The traditional model serves elite clients, prioritizing style and the architect as a single visionary. This evolution requires engaging citizen experts who hold vital, situated knowledge through direct engagement in the design process. We must become the expert citizen, merging technical rigor with genuine empathy, the storyteller articulating authentic community narratives, and the translator rendering complex human needs into tangible and accessible solutions. Public interest design, conversely, seeks the greater social good and advocates designing with, not for, communities. PID demands co-creation, fostering a dynamic social structure that maximizes user agency and collective creativity. This requires a radical redefinition of the architect's role. Let's talk about some successful ventures with public interest design. Francis Carey is a fantastic example of turning towards helping his community before thinking of himself. We have the Gando Primary School perfectly embodying public interest design. Facing extreme resource constraints in Burkina Faso, Carey rejected costly imported materials and embraced the philosophy of do more with less. By utilizing local clay and labor, the project built not only a structure, but also a community ownership structure. The result was a, quote, school within the community and with the community, where the local residents gain knowledge and skills for maintenance and future building. Carey proved that sustainable, high-quality design can emerge directly from local capacity. And next, we have Elemental's Quinta Monroy in Chile. It was to address rapid urbanization by deploying a half-a-house concept. This solution provided an embedded enabling framework, giving the residents a finished, structurally secure core while leaving the remainder as a void for incremental expansion. This strategy explicitly leveraged local construction knowledge and allowed families to complete their homes according to their means and aspirations over time. This successful fusion of social benefit and shared creation demonstrated the power of recognizing design as a continuous, evolving process. We can learn critical lessons from projects that fail or that some people claim have failed. Ekushard's modernist grid in Morocco clashed with user reality when residents adapted his designs, did not keep them, leading to his feeling of aesthetic fetishism. Ekushard believed his modernist aesthetic should prevail, leading him to feel betrayed when residents customized their 8-meter by 8-meter units into chaotic, messy houses. That sense of betrayal reveals the hold of aesthetic fetishism on the architect, while residents treated the housing as a resource to be adapted. The lesson: designers must accept that housing is an evolving resource for incremental adaptation. Separately, Liz Ogbu's day laborer station, the prototype, failed to materialize because spending on undocumented workers became politically untenable. However, the project succeeded as an advocacy tool, demonstrating that success is not realized just by the built object, but by restoring dignity and starting the conversation. These cases demonstrate that while architects may not define their challenged products as successes, project success is ultimately defined by the stakeholders' perspectives. Reflecting on my own design experience shows the pervasive nature of the traditional model. In fact, although academic design work is important for developing technical skill, it can potentially inadvertently reinforce the traditional model's priorities. I kind of like the idea of the single visionary, so the facade project prioritized my aesthetic ego and global reliance through a technocratic fix, viewing the structure as a finished commodity. I did a massive amount of research for this project, including obtaining and reading neighborhood publications to find the desires and aspirations of the community. But none of the community was able to voice anything regarding the project. But I told myself that I designed the perfect wall, and then I realized that focusing on just technical complexity and spatial representation limited the potential for real social change. The inclusive spa succeeded by not strictly adhering to compliance with the ADA, which is a negative obligation, taking on the mandate for dignity inherent in universal design. The outdoor pavilion imposed a rigid grid, representing a failure of representation where abstract planning excluded lived experience. These critiques confirmed that privileging technical complexity and aesthetics limits actual social change. The contrast between the two models is philosophical and profound. The traditional model results in designs defined by firm follows finances, perpetuating the myth of the singular visionary, the sole author of their own monument, and an eccentric, independent genius. We must place the static aesthetic object which follows finances and relies on proprietary high-cost solutions with a dynamic social structure guided by the ethos of form follows love. The strategic goal is moving away from imposing global technologies toward fostering local capability through self-help, self-repair, and self-build. This ensures that the structure functions as an equitable, evolving framework rather than a fixed commodity. By advancing universal design and community empowerment, we achieve genuine spatial justice. Our path forward is co-creation grounded in empathy. We achieve discovery by acquiring the thick knowledge through immersive methods like gateur walking tours and deep listening. We define shared goals through negotiation, acting as the architect translator. For tangible prototyping, we plan on using serious games, such as the architectural portal of people's narratives, to create a navigable virtual common ground of dialogue. These tools facilitate collective capability and allow the architect to focus on poiesis, which is the primal creativity in a person, and not mimesis, which is basically mimicking what others have already done. And this is why AI can be a tool rather than a replacement for architects, because AI does mimesis. A new role for the architect could be described as architect conceptual leader or even conductor. The overall goal is to make PID ubiquitous with practicing architecture and to do so for the broader public good. In conclusion, my thesis addresses the evolving core ethical challenge facing architecture, shifting from serving the affluent to prioritizing communal well-being. Consequently, fulfilling architecture's ethical obligations requires abandoning the singular product-focused vision and committing to the shared iterative process of co-creation. The ultimate goal is to make PID the professional standard, integrating the hard skills of design with the soft skills of humanity. By advancing universal design and community empowerment, we achieve genuine spatial justice. I will leave you with one more thought from Arjun Appadurai's book, Modernity at Large. One man's imagined community is another man's political prison. PID and co-creation can overcome that prison.